You ever get that look? The one where people see you and think, he's past his prime. He's slow. He's forgotten how to keep up. I've lived with that look for years. From my own kids, from neighbors, even from strangers who treat me like I'm invisible. They thought I was slow. They thought my mind had faded. But what they didn't know was I was watching, waiting, planning. And in one moment, in just a few seconds, I flipped the entire game. I outsmarted them all. If you think old age means giving up, think again. Because this is the story of how I took back my power when my own family tried to write me off. Stick around, because you won't believe what happened next. I wasn't always the slow old man in the room. Far from it. For 4 decades, I ran a construction business from scratch. I wasn't just any contractor. I was the guy who could spot a flaw in a blueprint before anyone else, who could negotiate deals so tight they made jaws drop, and who could calculate costs faster than any accountant with a calculator. I was sharp, confident, respected, but once I turned 75, everything changed. Not in me, in the way people saw me. Suddenly, my own children began to treat me like a child. Mark, my oldest, would speak over me during conversations as if I couldn't follow along. "Dad, just let us handle the bills. It's easier for you," he'd say with that patronizing smile, patting me on the shoulder like I was some confused toddler. Lisa, my daughter, began talking to me slower and louder, as if I suddenly didn't understand English anymore. "Dad, you just press this button here to call me," she said one afternoon. She held the phone up like I was a child learning to speak. I'd been using phones longer than she'd been alive. Neighbors who once waved and stopped to chat now hurried past, avoiding eye contact or finishing my sentences for me. At the bank, the teller asked if I wanted help filling out a deposit slip. A slip I'd filled out myself hundreds of times over the years. I could feel the walls closing in. I was invisible. And then came the family dinner that changed everything. Lisa called me one evening. "Just some pizza and catching up," she said. "Sounds harmless enough, right?" When I arrived, I found Mark and my nephew Kevin, a lawyer, already seated, a heavy folder resting on the table between them. The moment I saw that folder, my gut tightened. I knew what was coming. Mark cleared his throat and put on that concerned son expression I'd seen so many times. "Dad, we think it might be best if you give us power of attorney, just to help manage your finances." Power of attorney. The words hit me like a gut punch. Kevin slid the folder toward me. "It's standard paperwork," he said smoothly. "You'd still have control, but it'd be easier for you." Lisa smiled at me, that sweet, too sweet smile, and said, "Dad, you've been confused sometimes. Like last week, when you sent the gardener a bigger check." I looked her dead in the eye. "Lisa, I overpaid him $5 because he fixed the fence without charging me. That's called a tip. They expected me to sign on the spot, to just hand over control like some helpless old man. But I stayed calm, didn't yell, didn't accuse. I got quiet, and that's when the game changed. I sat there quietly, watching them, as if I was listening to a conversation about someone else. Lisa kept smiling that way, the kind of smile that's sweeter than honey but leaves a bitter taste. Mark shifted nervously, glancing at Kevin as if waiting for the right moment to push harder. Kevin, of course, was the calmest of all. The lawyer, the guy who always thinks he's 2 moves ahead in chess. He opened the folder slowly, almost theatrically. "Dad," Mark began, "we're just trying to make sure things are easier for you. Managing finances gets complicated with age. We want to help." Lisa nodded, her eyes soft and full of concern. "We just want the best for you, Dad." "Best for me, or best for them?" Kevin tapped on the document, pointing to the words, "Power of attorney." "It lets us manage your accounts, pay bills on your behalf, make decisions if you're unable to. It's a safety net." Lisa jumped in. "Remember last week, Dad? You sent the gardener a check for $500 when the invoice was $50. I felt heat rise to my face but held steady. "Lisa, that check was $55. 5 extra for good work. You've got your numbers wrong." She faltered but kept her smile. "It's okay, Dad. We just want to protect you." Mark leaned forward, voice low but insistent. "Dad, signing this means less stress for you. You won't have to worry about the details." Kevin added, "It's legally binding, but you still have control. We only step in if you can't manage." I picked up the pen they slid toward me like a ceremonial baton, like I was a runner passing the torch to the next generation. I pretended to consider it. Slowly, deliberately, I said, "Tell me, Kevin, can you read the document out loud? Every word, please." Their faces tightened. Lisa looked at Mark. Mark looked at Kevin. This wasn't part of the plan. Kevin cleared his throat and began reading, legal jargon flowing like a river of fine print. "The attorney in fact shall have full authority to act on behalf of the principal in all financial matters." I stopped him after a few minutes. Wait, this part here." I tapped a clause with my finger. "It says you can sell, transfer, or encumber any property of mine without my prior consent." Kevin's voice wavered slightly. "Well, technically, yes, but it's only in extreme circumstances." Lisa hurried in. "Dad, we would never do anything like that without talking to you." I slammed my hand on the table. "Not the point. You thought I'd sign away my house without reading the fine print? You thought I'd be so slow I wouldn't notice this?" Mark looked like he swallowed a lemon. Kevin's jaw clenched. Lisa's smile faded. I stood up slowly, making sure they felt the weight of my gaze. "You invited me here with pizza, pretending it was a casual night. But this was a setup, a trap." The room went quiet. I looked at each of them, my kids, my nephew, and said, "You thought I was slow. You thought I was easy to fool." That's when I pulled my secret weapon. I pulled a thick, worn folder from inside my jacket. It wasn't just any folder, it was my armor. "This," I said, voice steady, "is my updated will." Their faces shifted. Confusion, surprise, maybe even a flicker of fear. I let the silence stretch long enough to make it uncomfortable. "This will," I continued, "was prepared 2 weeks ago." They all leaned in, eyes narrowing, trying to read my expression. "In it, I've already made decisions about my estate, splitting assets between my grandkids' education funds and a local charity." Kevin tried to interrupt, but I raised my hand. "Wait for it." "But there's a catch," I added. "The catch is this. Unless you can prove you've acted in my best interest, honestly, fairly, without manipulation or pressure, you won't inherit a dime." The room fell completely silent. Kevin's face went pale. Mark opened his mouth, but no words came out. Lisa's smile vanished entirely. I leaned forward, voice calm but sharp as a blade. "You thought I was slow? You thought I'd sign your paperwork without looking? I've been 3 steps ahead the moment you invited me over for pizza." They swallowed hard. I closed the folder and stood tall. I'm still here, still in control, still watching. Their plan, carefully crafted, had collapsed in seconds. After that dinner, things changed. Lisa barely speaks to me now. I see her at family gatherings, but the warmth is gone. It's polite, surface level, like we're actors in a play we both want to end. Mark still calls, but the easy camaraderie we once shared is replaced by careful distance. His voice is polite, clipped. There's an unspoken tension hanging between us like a thick fog. Kevin? He avoids me altogether. When I cross paths with him at family events, he looks away, busy on his phone, pretending not to see me. It's lonely in some ways, but it's also freeing. I'm no longer a man they think they can manipulate. I'm still managing my money, every dollar. Still making smart investments, the kind I learned decades ago, the kind they thought I'd forgotten. People like to assume that when you get older, your mind fades, your judgment weakens. But that's a lie. A lie I'm proud to prove wrong every day. Sometimes, the sweetest revenge isn't yelling or confrontation. It's quiet strength. It's the look on their faces when they realize they underestimated you. It's knowing you saw through it all from the very start. So, am I the asshole for outsmarting my own family? Maybe to some. But to me, I'm just a man who refused to be slow. So here I am, sharing my story with you. A story about being underestimated, about family, and about standing your ground when everyone thinks you're out of moves. People say age slows you down. But sometimes it's exactly the opposite. Sometimes the years give you wisdom, patience, and the kind of quiet strength that surprises everyone. I didn't just outsmart my family in seconds. I reminded them that respect isn't automatic. It's earned. And if you think you can take advantage of me, think again. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever been underestimated because of your age or experience? Did someone try to push you around only to learn you're sharper than they thought? Or maybe you've been on the other side. Do you think it's ever okay to take control from an aging parent for their own good? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button. It really helps out. And if you want more real, gripping stories like this, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss an upload. Remember, getting older doesn't mean getting weaker. Sometimes it means winning the game before anyone even knows it started. Thanks for listening.